Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of the Maconi Setup Shop A-Fix Tutorials. This week we're looking at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so strap in and let's get to it. A lot to go over in this video. I'll start off with the gearing. As you can see, I'm just holding 5th gear. If you try to run 4th gear, you're about 3/10 slower, so use at your own risk. I don't think I need to say any more than that. Just stick to 5th gear. Now for the good stuff. For whatever reason, and again, I don't know if it's just the way that the setup is built for the fixed setup, if it's the track, the tire, the aero, I don't really know what the deal is, but I was struggling just to make 10 laps. And I know a lot of it is because I'm on the throttle a lot. Again, there's no dirty air, there's no traffic to deal with. Uh, but by lap 10, I was wrecking. And I thought it was because I was just kind of moving all around and showing these different lines. I think it's just the way that it's designed because I ran the bottom for a majority of this run and I was still very sketchy, especially off of 4. 2, not so much, but off of 4, it's really loose. Doesn't really matter what line I'm running. I find that the higher up I go, the more manageable it is because I don't have a lot of wheel input. But you're still going to have to manage the gas. And I think once you're in traffic, it's just going to prolong that. I think you're still going to have to deal with that issue instead of 8, 10, 9, 10 laps in. I think you'll be dealing with it more around 20, maybe 25, but it's still going to be an issue. So my suggestion to everybody that watches this, when you are racing this, when you're running the bottom, go as long as you can without getting full throttle. It's about the only way that you're going to be able to save that right rear tire. Um, Moving around, running different lines, I mean, you're going to have to do that. I find that even in solo car, I was pretty tight on entry. Um, Lifting sooner than I would like to, especially for being in solo car. The last time I ran laps here, I felt like I could drive it in pretty deep. Same story as this, the last video that I did for the mile and a half. I couldn't really drive it in as deep. Um, and then just the lines around here. As you guys know, where I just ran right there, that second lane in 1 and 2, that's always been the fastest way. But I find that the bottom is actually a little bit quicker. Again, once you're in traffic and you've got the draft to deal with and everything else, I still think that line's going to be the number one line. Um, 3 and 4 is smooth all the way across. However, the bottom naturally is the shorter way around the racetrack. Typically, you'd be running a little bit slower, so you'd think you'd be saving tires. However, like I mentioned already, I find that the exit of turn 4 is just shredding my right rear tire. I'm still trying to do everything that I normally do. Again, I don't feel like I'm tracking out to the wall off of 4. Okay, as you see, instead of exiting, like I'm pointing to where the restart zone is there. That's where I want to feel like my nose is pointing as I come up off the exit. I don't want the nose to feel like it's pointing towards the advertisements that are on the wall in turn 4. I want to feel like I'm pointing down the hill coming off of turn 4 so you get the straighter line off. That way you're not dragging your front tires across the racetrack and shredding them. But for whatever reason, I'm just melting my right rear. As you can see, a lot of grip up here. You can see how fast I'm back in the gas. Okay, lots of grip up here, and I do think 100% that these lines are going to get used in the race once the tires wear, once there's heat in the racetrack, and once there's rubber laid down, especially later in a run. Okay, once the speeds really start to fall off and handling goes away, I think you're going to see a lot of people that didn't do the best job taking care of their tires running the top, because you could just keep your momentum built up so much easier. Um, but I also think it's going to be a great way to set up passes too. I still think running the bottom all the way around the racetrack is the best way to make passes around here. If somebody's running the wall and that middle lane in 1 and 2 proves to be a little bit quicker, that would be where you want to run, just because I call it a speed slot. For as long as I've been on iRacing, this lane here, it's just, for whatever reason, it's just had the most speed. You get that little extra run off the corner to make the backstretch just a little bit longer, but the bottom is way more raceable now than it ever used to be. And then the same thing in 3 and 4. There's grip all over the place, so it's really just wherever your car feels the best. Um, I always like to take a bigger arc into 3. I find that if I shallow the entry and try to get down to the line way too soon, although you do get down to the line, which is great, I feel like you just scrub way too much speed, and then you run the risk of running the apron over, and then it just kills your center speed. Okay, so I like to try to run over that dot with the left front that I just passed there as I was saying that, and we'll talk more about that in the in-car. And as you guys go back and watch this video, you'll see over and over that my line, I continue to try to run that over. That's kind of like a mark. I always try to aim the left front over top of that. Another thing too, my lap 10, which would be the silent in-car lap, I did miss the bottom, so keep that in mind. This extra lap that I'm running to show you guys how to get the pit road, I pretty much nailed it, and just about every other lap of this run, I also nailed it. Just my luck that the lap 10 one is the one that I kind of overshot. Okay, so that's the pit road entrance. We'll switch to the in-car here, and we'll talk a little bit about what I see. Okay, I think you guys have seen enough of the lap tracker. I'm just going to hide it for now. Hate how big it is, but can't really do anything about it. The seam in 1 and 2 that you see along the top here, that's kind of what I'm trying to aim for. If you hold that, you're close enough to get all the effects of the wall proximity for the little stability. Obviously, the closer you get, the better it should handle. The only problem that I have is that when I get to the exit, whether it's off of 2 or 4, it's almost like the car wants to hold that, even though I'm turning left. It's almost like the car wants to hold that, and it feels like it's tight. I think it's just an iRacing thing, but you're going to hit the wall no matter what, in my opinion. If you try to hold it that tight, you can't really hold the wall all the way through, which I think you should be able to do. It's like once you get to the exit, even if you're not turning the wheel at all, you're still going to hit the wall on exit. Okay, that's just a me thing, so I always like to pull down just a little bit. And then, yeah, just, again, same thing here. This seam, this is the speed slot that I talk about. I'm not actually on it with the left front, but I feel like I'm close enough. And that's about where you want to be, because anything lower than that, once you get on the seam, you start hitting those bumps, and it could upset the car. And then, bam, that dot right there, I like to run that over. As long as I'm falling down to the yellow line, I know I'm going to get there, and that's my line through 3 and 4 for running the bottom. Okay, like I was saying earlier, the last lap or two, if you notice my throttle input, I kind of got to wait on it, getting off of 4. The runs that I had been doing previously, my lap 8 I was almost wrecking, my lap 9 I got really loose and saved it, and then just to finish lap 10 I was getting really, really loose and wrecking. So that's why I ran the bottom a lot more, trying to save the rear tires, and as you can see, I still had a bit of an issue with it. That lap 11 there, I hit the bottom a lot better, so I just wanted to slow that down for you guys. And then looking at the tires, much to my surprise, I'm even on the right sides, but I feel like if I was to try to go 30 laps, my right rear is going to be shredded. At least that's just what it feels like. I feel like I've gone over just about everything I needed to in this video. Again, if you're gonna, whatever line you're gonna run here, very much like a Kansas, you have to commit to it. You don't want to be trying to change lanes during the corner, or say, oh, I'm going to run the top, and then at the last second I'm going to try to run the bottom, because you're just going to miss it. Very much like Kansas, this is a racetrack where you want to commit to that lane. And I know it's not always easy, especially in traffic, but if you have somebody directly in front of you, you obviously don't want to be right in their dirty air. I get that. But that's another thing where once you're racing, you see what the guys around you are doing, you try to anticipate that, and if you feel like you're better, then you just try to set your passes up and run where they're not, keep as much clean air on your nose as you can, and hopefully you can complete the pass in a short amount of time so that you're not giving everything up to the people behind you and putting yourself in a bad situation. Vegas is a fun track. Like I said, this setup to me just feels, it felt tight to start, especially on entry, and then again, with no cars or dirty air to worry about, I can get on the gas so much faster than what I feel like I should be, especially with traffic. So I feel like I'm melting my right rear and getting really loose. But that's something that you're going to have to watch out for in the race, because it's going to happen as well. That's always been a trend here. The right rear, I find that you do get pretty loose, especially off of 4. Turn 2, I've never had really much of an issue with this car, but turn 4, I always seem to get pretty free. So it's just, once you start getting free, if you're running the bottom, use as much throttle as needed. don't try to rush it, and then once you get on the straightaway, open or wide open, and see what you got, and just try to save that right rear. Alright guys, that'll just about do it for this week's video. As always, if you find that this video is helpful, please consider leaving a like. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything you guys want to discuss, leave a comment down below. I always check them throughout the week. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you can see these videos every Monday when they're posted on the Maconi YouTube page. Alright guys, best of luck this week, and we'll see you on the track.